Hey, I'm Nikhil, and I'm going to talk to you about weighing and voting issues. So in terms of weighing, you're always going to have multiple impacts coming from both sides. That is, one side will have X number of people being killed or whatever, and the other side will have a similar impact. And what you want to do as a debater is prove that yours is sort of more important than the other one. And there are various sort of criteria you can use, right? And that sort of is based on the fact that you're using ends-based calculus that's utilitarian. With that in mind, you want to use sort of A, magnitude, which is sort of the number of people that are killed. So you can say, the bad thing that happens if you negate or you side with the con side would cause 50 million deaths as opposed to 25 million deaths. And that is why ours is more important. So it affects more people. That's how you would weigh under magnitude. The second piece of weighing is probability. So that's the second part of risk. And probability is, how likely is that event to happen? So a good way to think about this is, think about an asteroid hitting the Earth, right? That is a very, very high magnitude event, right? Extinction happens if an asteroid hits the Earth, but it's very low probability. So that's how you temper sort of the magnitude impacts. So if you say, hey, their impact might have 50 million deaths as opposed to 25 million deaths, but if you vote pro, then their impact is 100% going to happen as opposed to my impact, which is only 50% going to happen. And that's how you weigh on that level. And essentially, risk, which is how you weigh impact, is a function of magnitude times probability. Of course, there are other things you can use to weigh impacts, like reversibility, how easy is it for us to come back for that impact to happen, and other sort of customizable ways to view impacts, but those are the two big ones. The second thing I'm going to talk about is voting issues. And essentially what you want to do here is at the end of the debate, in your final focus, you want to essentially write the ballot for the judge. So when the judge is giving you oral feedback, you essentially want your final focus to be that oral feedback. So you want to really focus on 2 to 3 issues that really decide the round, because that's essentially all the judge is going to care about. And you want to be very realistic about what you're winning and what you're losing, because you're always going to be losing issues in debate. If you don't think you're losing issues, you're not being realistic about how you're doing in debate. So in that final focus, you want to identify what you're winning and what you're losing, and then sort of spend your entire time as to why the things that you're winning are more important. And the reasons as to why those are more important are your voting issues. So framework is not a voting issue because that frames the debate. Definitions are not a voting issue because they frame the debate. Essentially, things like weighing, things like very, very specific impacts or turns are going to be voting issues. So why what they're winning means that you win, or why what you're winning is more important than what they have. So you want to spend your entire final focus on those specific pieces of information. So we've talked about weighing and voting issues, which are probably the 2 most important things of debate, given that you want to sort of put your arguments over your opponents and make sure they sort of sign through the final focus.